वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22 and Text 5. Text 6. Dishtya me Bhagavan drusto Dishtya me Bhagavan drusto Dudarshaha Yaha Akrutatmanam Dudarsho yo Krutatmanam Dishtya Padarajaha Sprustam Dishtya Padarajah Sprustam Shirshna me Bhavatah Shivam Shirshna me Bhavatah Shivam Dishtya me Bhagavan drusto Dudarsho yo Akrutatmanam Dishtya Padarajasprushtam Shirshna me Bhavatah Shivam. Dishtya, by good fortune, may my Bhagavan, all-powerful, Drishtaha is seen, Dudarshaha, not easily seen, Yaha, who, Akruta Atmanam, of those who have not controlled the mind and senses. Dishtya, by my good fortune, Padarajaha, the dust of the feet, Sprustam is touched, Shirshna, by the head, me, my, Bhavataha, your, Shivam, causing all auspiciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamy Srila Prabhupada. Translation. It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, for you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet. Please repeat. It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, For you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched my hand the blessed dust of your feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The perfection of transcendental life can be achieved simply by touching the holy dust of the lotus feet of a holy man. In the Bhagavatam it is said, Mahatpad Rajobhishekam, which means to be blessed by the holy dust of the lotus feet of a Mahat, a great devotee. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatma Anastu, those who are great souls are under the spell of spiritual energy, and their symptom is that they fully engage in Krishna consciousness for the service of the Lord. Therefore, they are called Mahat. Unless one is fortunate enough to have the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahatma on one's head, there is no possibility of perfection in spiritual life. The Parampara system of disciplic succession is very important as a means of spiritual success. One becomes a Mahat by the grace of his Mahat spiritual master. If one takes shelter of the lotus feet of a great soul, there is every possibility of one's also becoming a great soul. When Maharaj Rahugana asked Jadabharat about his wonderful achievement of spiritual success, he replied to the king that spiritual success is not possible simply by following the rules and rituals of religion, or simply by converting oneself into a sannyasi, or offering sacrifices as recommended in the scriptures. These methods are undoubtedly helpful for spiritual realization, but the real effect is brought about by the grace of a Mahatma. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, it is clearly stated that simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life, and in spite of executing all ritualistic performances, if one cannot satisfy the spiritual master, one has no access to spiritual perfection. Here the word Akrutatmanam is very significant. Atma means body, soul or mind, and Akrutatma means the common man, who cannot control the senses or the mind. Because the common man is unable to control the senses and the mind, it is his duty to seek the shelter of a great soul or great devotee of the Lord and just to try to please him. That will make his life perfect. A common man cannot rise to the topmost stage of spiritual perfection simply by following the rituals and religious principles. He has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and work under his direction faithfully and sincerely, then he becomes perfect without a doubt. The Sanstha Bhaktivedanta Purporto Madhyana Timiran Dasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Emperor Manu is speaking to Kardama Muni. Here he is expressing his good fortune of seeing a great sage like Kardama Muni. Drishyame Bhagavan Drusto. It is actually, one has to be fortunate to come in touch with such a saintly person. So Manu is acknowledging his great fortune. Tudarshoyu wo akrutatmanam. Generally, you cannot be easily seen by a person who has not subdued his senses or mind. Great saintly persons are not visible to a common man. Dishtya padarajasprustam. Not only that, at that I am able to see you, but I got the great fortune, more fortunate. In the fortunes also there are levels. I am more fortunate that I could touch my head to the blessed dust of your lotus feet. Because when Manu came to meet Kaddama, he paid his obeisances. So obviously his head has touched the dust, which is being blessed by the dust of the holy feet of Kaddama Muni. So this is Manu's happiness. He is expressing his fortune. So this is this verse Prabhupada is explaining about the special significance of this Mahat Rajapada, Mahat Padarajobhishekam. Bhagavatam, there is a conversation between Maharaj Rahugana and Jadabharata. Jadabharata is a great saintly person. So Rahugana asks him about the spiritual success, the secret of a spiritual success. So Jadabharata explains spiritual success is not possible simply by following varnashrama. Somebody may follow the rules of celibacy very nicely, strictly, or the rules of the Grihastha Dharma nicely, or one may even accept a sannyas and then follow those sannyas rules very nicely, but still there is no chance for him to attain spiritual success. Also it is mentioned here, somebody may be very religious, they do a lot of rituals which are mentioned in the Vedas. So, but Jadabharata is saying even they have no chance of attaining the spiritual success. Obviously all this varnashrama and the religious rituals mentioned in the Vedas, certainly they will help a conditioned soul to advance in spiritual life, but to get the success, Mahat Padarajobhishekam, one has to come in contact with a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. If somebody is fortunate to come in touch with a spiritual master who is a Mahat, that means who has taken shelter of Krishna completely, such a spiritual master can transform this person, any common man, into a Mahat, into a great soul. One can become great only by taking shelter and serving a great spiritual master, Prabhupada. By coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada, we have seen thousands and thousands and millions of people have understood the spiritual life and attained spiritual success. So the goal is somehow, if we can get the dust of the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada on our head, then there is a possibility of attaining success. So of course we have made a video on this one particular pastime of Prabhupada in France, of transforming a drug addict into a great devotee. So once Prabhupada comes to France in order to give association to the devotees who are there. And then there is one drug addict. The devotees gives him a nickname called Pig Pen. And so somehow this Pig Pen, out of hunger, he comes to the center, to the temple, and begs for some food. Devotees happily they gave some prasad, and then that day he goes back. And then next day some devotees, they go to one park to do their japa. That time they see this Pig Pen having a temporary setup in the bushes. Basically he doesn't have any house. He's a drug addict alone. Some little simple setup is there. He is somehow managing, always in drunk situation. Eyes are red, the hairs are not maintained, no bath, nothing. This is the kind of situation of that person. So again he asks food from these devotees. They say, oh, please come to the temple. And then Srila Prabhupada arrives there. He comes to the temple, and then as part of his routine, in the morning he goes to the same park for his morning walk. So the Pig Pen, he sees the devotees and Prabhupada, and then he was trying to get the attention of Prabhupada. He wants to, he jumps from the bushes to touch Prabhupada's lotus feet. So then the devotee says, no, you should not touch like this, and then they remove him before he could actually touch Prabhupada's feet. And then somehow they goes back, and then the next day Prabhupada comes back from his morning walk. That time the doors are open, the temple doors, and Pig Pen is waiting silently in some corner. He already entered the temple and is waiting for Prabhupada to come, and Prabhupada enters the temple hall, and that's it, he jumps onto the lotus feet of Prabhupada and he catches tightly. And everybody is saying, no, remove him, take him out, like that. And Prabhupada, he stops all of them. He keeps his hand on the head of Pig Pen and says, Hare Krishna, it's all right, boy. Like that, he blesses him basically. Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. So as soon as that person got the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, there is a tremendous transformation in him. So he decides to remain there only. That is the first effect. In the center only he will remain there. There is Arati begins, he sits there only. Then there is a class going on, Prabhupada gives the class, he sits in the front and he listens to everything. Actually he is in a drunk situation. He doesn't really know what to do and what not to do. But he is, something happened to him, and then he started imitating, he started practicing devotion. And then devotees, they discuss among themselves what to do with this man. And then they ask him, what is your plan? He says, no, I want to be here. So they, first of all, they give a good bath to him, shave him up, and then give the devotee dress, and then put a tilak. That's all. He's shining like a gem. And then devotees tell him to do some works, because he got used to a lot of drugs and all that. His body and mind are not cooperating for him to really do service. Actually, if somebody is a drug addict or he drinks on a regular basis, he will be a useless guy. he will not be able to do any work. It is impossible. Such people who will be put into deep ignorance by those chemicals, they cannot do anything productive or effective. They will not be able to perform. But here we see Pigpen, somehow he gets the inspiration, and he takes up the broomstick and this and that. Whatever we see in the morning, the housekeeping, the cleaning, it has all those housekeeping works. So suddenly he becomes very dear to all the Vaishnavas. Very nicely he is doing seva. So their blessings also he started getting. And then one day they were going for book distribution, and then and they were looking for various Pigpen. He is already seated next to the driver in the front seat. Hey, where are you going? No, I am going for Sankirtan. Mostly he heard Prabhupada saying Sankirtan, so he is ready for Sankirtan. So they were all skeptical, the other devotees, because obviously he is not a reliable, so to say, reliable devotee by then. And then he takes some books, a bag of books, and then meanwhile the devotees are having their own breakfast prasadam. By then Pigpen goes somewhere, he comes back with an empty bag. And they say, hey, what did he do? Did he dump all these books somewhere? Or what did he do? And then Pigpen says, no, I sold off everything. See, look, here is the money. Then they say, how did you do that? You don't know any philosophy, you don't know anything. He says, I simply told them, Prabhupada saved me. That's all the books went away. This is the kind of faith that he develops on Srila Prabhupada. And of course he becomes very nice devotee, very strict devotee. He gets initiated by Prabhupada himself. Formal initiation he gets from Prabhupada. And then after that, he did a lot of book distribution in that center. And also finally he wrote a lot of books also. He translated, from Bengali to English. He wrote a lot of books also. A Pigpen writing transcendental literature. This is the influence of Mahatpada Rajobhishekam, because he somehow got hold of Prabhupada's lotus feet. Here it is mentioned, Akrutatmanam, people who have not controlled their mind and senses, they cannot see a saintly person. It is not possible. Saintly persons will not give darshan to such people. That's why Manu is saying, I am so fortunate that I am able to see you today. It is your mercy that you allowed me to see you. So similarly, here we can see that Pigpen, for example, is not Akrutatmana. It's not that he has controlled his mind and senses. In fact, he is most uncontrolled. He took all the drugs, he took all the intoxication. How is it that he is able to see Srila Prabhupada? You can see Prabhupada's position is very special. He is a saint of the saints. He has generally saints, they go to some isolated place, some tirthasthal, and they practice their spiritual life, and they achieve spiritual success. But Prabhupada is completely different. He went into the people who are having least control on their mind and senses. When Prabhupada went to America, America at that time was under the grip of an anti-establishment movement. all the youngsters are rejecting their parents. They are saying, we don't want to live the life that you lived. So we want to live a different life. They are in search of something esoteric, something very fine, or something subtle. And uh, they all got into drugs and various intoxications. They said, my life, my rules. That's all. We will not follow anybody else's rules. This is that means the most loose kind of people and character. And Prabhupada goes into them, in search of them. He goes into them, he lives with them. In the lower Bauri, Prabhupada took a small raft, and then he's sharing with one more crazy man. And then it is surrounded by all these drunkards. And Prabhupada, when he returns to his loft from work, so many of these people used to just lie down like that in front of his door. And then Prabhupada has to cross all of them and then enter into his house. And there only all urine, this, that, everything. They are so drunk. They are all living there. But sometimes when they are little conscious, when Prabhupada is coming like this, they used to see some saintly person and Prabhupada's influence. Immediately they'll, out of respect, some kind of respect, they used to move little bit. He's drunk fully, but still he's trying to move little bit and give way to Srila Prabhupada. Like that, they did some service to Prabhupada. They had Darshan of Srila Prabhupada, they did some service. And so in the conversation also we are reading how some of these early boys came and met Srila Prabhupada and how their lives got transformed. So logical brain, some intellectual brain cannot understand how by touching the taking dust at the lotus feet of a saintly person on the head, how a person can progress in spiritual success. No logical explanation is, one cannot understand this secret. Just by taking the dust, one will become successful in spiritual life? Yes. There are so many historical narrations about this. By coming in contact with a pure devotee, how big transformations are possible. In our own parampara, we know Narada Muni's case, how he also, by coming in touch with Mahat Seva, he also has become Mahat. So Prabhupada is saying here, the parampara system of disciplic succession is very important as a means of spiritual success. Now this is very crucial. Spiritual success, yes, we have to come in touch with Mahat. But how do we know that he is a Mahat, is a great pure devotee? That is by the system of disciplic succession, Guru Sishya Parampara. A common man, he will not be able to understand what kind of a saintly person, because everybody claims that he is a saintly person, he is a guru, and he can bestow the spiritual success. Everybody promises like this. Particularly in Kali Yuga, these kind of claims are more. There are many sadhus, many so-called mystics and sadhus and gurus, and they all claim that the spiritual success is within our hands. Everybody is like that. So how do we determine that he is really a Mahat or really a great devotee? That is only by checking whether he belongs to a bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara. For a common man, it is easy to verify these kind of parameters. What is that he has to verify? Whether this guru, he is having a guru, and whether that guru is having any other guru, and like that, that guru shishya parampara should originate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, Krishna. This is the only way a common man can identify whether I am surrendering to a Mahat, a great personality, whether I am surrendering to someone who is in spiritual energy, somebody who is absorbed in spiritual energy, not in this material energy. So how we can know? Because the devotees' actions also, they look like actions of material energy. In the material energy, there are so many people, they work day and night. But their goal is to get some fruit and enjoy that fruit. This is their goal. And the devotees also, they work day and night. But their goal is how Krishna, Guru and Krishna will be pleased. This is their goal, not their own pleasure. This is spiritual. But externally, if you see, he is also working hard, he is also working hard. He is also going door-to-door marketing. He is also going door-to-door marketing. So what is the difference? The difference is one is working on the spiritual energy and one is working on the material energy. It's a punishment. Under material energy, whatever work is done, it's a punishment. It simply increases the misery of the person. But whereas if somebody takes shelter of spiritual energy, by taking shelter of a Mahat, a pure devotee, then he will be relieved from this manasastan indriyani, the struggle within the mind and the senses will be removed if somebody takes shelter of a Mahat. This is. But then how do we recognize? That's why here Prabhupada is saying there is a means to success, spiritual success. What does that mean? That means is a bona fide parampara, a Guru Shishya parampara which is coming down from Krishna, Narayana, and that parampara, if somebody takes a shelter, then and that too take shelter of the current link, the Guru who is the the representative of the entire parampara and Krishna, then his spiritual success is guaranteed. Sometimes, so this is the glory. Prabhupada is the 32nd Acharya, is the Acharya of Hare Krishna movement, and he has extended his mercy throughout the world on the order of his spiritual master. Untiringly, he has served the word of his spiritual master and then spread the message of Krishna all over the planet. So, he will, so because Prabhupada has physically disappeared, does it mean that his holy dust is not available now? Actually, physical presence and disappearance, they do not affect the association of a pure devotee. Pure devotee's association is always available. The association of a Mahat is always available. Physical appearance, disappearance, these things do not impact that spiritual process. And so sometimes they make a joke that Prabhupada has physically left us, and but no, you are all saying he is the spiritual master, we should take shelter of him. Why not take shelter of Bhakti Siddhanta, or we can even go to Madhavendra Puri, or Ishwara Puri, or even Manu, or any of those. Why not? If I can go to Prabhupada, I can go any of these things. But actually, anybody who knows philosophy, he knows that we have to approach the current link of the parampara. Now the $1 billion question is, one side says the current link is Srila Prabhupada, and one more side says that the current link is somebody else. Now this is only the controversy. So there is an endeavor by Maya to remove Prabhupada from the hearts of millions of people on this planet. But Krishna has saved the planet. He still allowed that people can take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, take his holy dust on their heads, and become fortunate and become great devotees themselves. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.